Hey, we'd like to welcome everyone out here tonight. We are set and ready. We're back over here in the storytelling zone, and I've got two young athletes. I've got Ben and Emmett. Ben, give us your first and last name. We know your first name, but give us your full name.
My name is Benjamin Liu, but I go by Ben.
Ben Liu and?
And I'm Emmett Aquino.
Emmett Aquino. So, guys, you just got off the water. Beautiful beautiful afternoon for a little training that you did. Tell me, you're kind of running the show around here. I've been watching you, Ben. I've been very impressed. Like, you're telling all these guys who are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", what is up and where to go, and they're listening to you. Tell me a little bit about some of the skills and the leadership skills that rowing is teaching you.
Well, I mean, it's very difficult to try to boss around all these people who are so much bigger than me. I'm very tiny, and I think it's just to help with my confidence and being like, hey, I'm the boss.
But they don't. I don't think they think you're bossing around. I think that you are just the boss, right?
Yeah.
Is that true? Are you on his crew?
Yes, I am.
And like, does it matter if he's the little guy and you're the big guy?
No, not really, because everyone in the boat just sees him as this is a guy. He knows what he's doing. We all trust him. So,
Emmett, you're the stroke in the boat, which
correct.
means that you're in the 8th seat. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Tell me a little bit about your role on the boat.
So my job as stroke seat is to I set the rhythm, the pace, and really whatever he tells me to do, I turn that from words into action.
Okay. So between the two of you, you're kind of like the captains of the team.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
About.
And what is it like when you're out there and you're feeling perfect rhythm?
It's the best thing in the world.
Best thing in the world.
It's
Tell
an
me
unreal
more.
feeling.
Can you feel it when they're
Yeah.
when they're synced?
We're just going straight ahead. There's no rocking back and forth. There's no differences in pace or rhythm. It's just straight, going fast, going forward. You can feel the wind in your hair. It's surreal.
Incredible. Tell me about. So you've also probably have a follow boat where your coaches are in.
Yeah.
Can they tell when you found that flow state?
Yeah, they're just like watching over us constantly, checking up on like how we're doing, how our tech is, and they give us really great pointers. I'm so grateful to have them as my coaches.
And so, do you have a radio to them? Are they talking to you directly or
Yeah,
on comms
I have
or anything?
what's called a Cox box.
Okay.
It attaches to like a headset where I wear it, and then a mic is down to my mouth, and it connects to speakers in the boat, so I'm a lot louder.
Oh, wow. So not only are you mighty, but you're loud and mighty.
Yeah.
Is that true? Fantastic. Emmett, how long have you been rowing?
This is my third season.
Third season. And do you have any upcoming regattas that you're working to go get to?
Well, in 3 weeks, we've got the Head of the Charles in Boston. We've been working real hard for the last, I'd say, 2.5 months to get there. So,
Teach me. All right. So happens that Boston is like 3,000 miles from here. How does one get a 8-seater regatta that's how many feet long? How many feet long is it?
52.
52 feet long to the other side of the country.
well, so we bring it out here, we take it apart, and we put it on a trailer, and we have a guy that just drives it across the country.
So how do you get that job? In the old days, way back, right? Did they put them on the train, or like how do they get them across the country?
That would be my assumption, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
Crazy. Someone's just driving it across.
Yeah.
You guys are flying though. How is Long Beach going to represent when you get there?
Yes.
Tell me more.
Well, we're hoping for a big win. So.
Okay, so you are you guys like the best in the country here?
That's debatable, but I'd say so.
Okay, fantastic. And tell me a little bit about this facility. You're here. We're at the Aquatic Capital of America banquet here tonight. What kind of impact does living in Long Beach or being around in Long Beach have in terms of your opportunities to travel over to Boston?
Well, definitely just the living here has given me a lot more exposure to water sports, specifically rowing. I'm sure I have a lot more opportunity than someone in like Iowa, per
Right.
se. And also, having this wonderful venue here to work on has definitely, improved us. I'm sure a lot more than some of the guys are going to be going against.
So, I mean, like, I think of Boston. I think of people are doing that. There's, like, epicenter here in Long Beach, probably. Boston, Seattle is my guess, is another place where there's good rowing. Like, that's where the boys in the boats are from, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But I don't know if are they still powerhouses up there in the Northwest?
For the most part.
Fantastic. Who do you need to give a shout out to?
Just all my teammates here for, you know, we're a wonderful team, guys. You know, can't say much more than that.
Hi, Gavin.
You got Gavin over there. Let's give your coaches a shout out. Kind of tell about the sacrifices that your coaches are here to doing for you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. If we didn't have our coaches here, you know, we'd be nothing. So just gotta give a shout out to Coach Tom, Coach Andrew, Coach Roma, Coach Isaac, Coach Helena. So yeah.
We're gonna give you the last word since everyone listens to you. What do you want everybody to know about rowing in Long Beach?
It's amazing. There's nothing like it. I definitely recommend trying it at least once in your life. There's nothing like winning a big race.
Fantastic. Is there something that you can say to get those guys to cheer in unison over there? Do you have a special team cheer?
Yeah. Long Beach on 3. 1, 2, 3. Long Beach.
Nice job, guys. Thanks for being good sports and warming the crowd up. You guys were very impressive. It was amazing to watch you to move those 52-foot boats around. Holy cow.
Thank you.
Crazy stuff. All right, go get ready and go do your homework, right?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, let's do that right. Let's do that right. There we go. There we go. Emmett. Oh, there we go. All right. Good warm up. We have good sound and everything. I think so. And then the way that
Test, test.
There we go. We're good. We're live here with Jeff. Jeff Kiesel has joined us over here in the storytelling zone at the Aquatics Capital of America. Jeff, it's fantastic to have you here. Thanks for joining us over here.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Jeff, you have already been inducted into the ACOA Hall of Fame in paddle sports.
Correct.
How long have you been participating in paddle sports? And I say that because you're still participating in paddle sports.
Still giving it the old college try, and I've been doing outrigger since 1973 and dragon boats since 2006.
2006. So maybe there's some people out there that don't know the difference between outrigger and dragon boats. Give me a little bit of a breakdown between those two different disciplines.
Sure. Outrigger is Hawaiian style. Like the best way to tell people that have never seen it before, it's the tourist boats in the travel logs in Honolulu.
There you go. Okay.
Or the opening scene in Hawaii Five-O.
Hawaii Five-O.
Right, so that's
We're dating
outrigger.
ourselves because we've seen those shows before.
Absolutely. And then dragon boat is rooted in Chinese culture. And the boats that we race actually have a dragon head and a dragon tail attached to them ceremonially. And those are, and that's the other sport I do.
Fantastic. How often right now are you training? Like, do you have any events or anything that you're working towards right now?
We just finished the outrigger season, and the dragon boat season is winding down. So we're actually entering our off season, and we'll get started again full-time preseason training next March.
Tell us about your season. Like, are there races that you're trying to hit? Is there a championship? What are you training for?
Okay, in outrigger, we have a season that starts in May and goes through Labor Day, and culminates with a race from Newport Beach to Catalina.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So that's like 27 miles, 23
It
miles.
depends on which way you go
Okay.
and where you start. It's either 27 or 30.
And how the currents are blowing or moving.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So you've been doing this. Did you say since 1973?
For outrigger.
So I know that has been 52 years because that was just the year before I was born. So
There you
that's
go.
good. Tell me a couple of your best stories. Like what are something? I'll let you kind of take that wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
I want to hear some good details though.
There. Let me think about it.
Yeah.
I will say this, outrigger. Why don't we move to dragon boat?
Okay, happy.
I was lucky enough 3 years ago to be hosted by the generous benefactor of dragon boat racing here in Long Beach, Dr. Howard Chen, and he took a bunch of us over to mainland China.
Oh wow.
Where we were able to compete in a race at the birthplace 2,000 years ago of dragon boat racing.
Wow.
So that in dragon boat, that stands out as a highlight. In outrigger, it's been so many years, so many friends, so many races. It's hard to pick one. Every time you do the Catalina crossing, that's something special. And this year was my 41st
41st year.
Yeah.
And so as you go, how long does it take for you to paddle an outrigger to Catalina?
That's a 4 to 5
hours.
Hour race, yeah.
And how many paddlers are on the rig?
For a race like that, for a long race like that, there are 6 at a time in an outrigger with 3 alternates who are changed on the fly.
Right. Are they on
as we
a
race.
boat or are they on the boat?
They're on a motorboat.
Okay.
And they're dropped in the water ahead of the ongoing canoe, and we do our changes on the fly. So we call that 9-man races. 6-man races where there are no changes are more typically 10 to 12 miles.
And we're here again at this Hall of Fame of what you're a member. Is there something specific that you've done or someone who's nominated you, or what puts you in the Hall of Fame?
Well, that's kind of why I came over to get interviewed, and we'll get to that in a moment. I'm here because years ago, not that long ago, I competed in the World Championship for dragon boats and was lucky enough to medal in several of the
That's
disciplines.
great. Fantastic.
In a team,
Right.
not
Right.
individually.
Right.
Okay. But what I wanted to talk about was the reason I'm in the Hall of Fame is because one of tonight's inductees, Mike Baker, friend to Outrigger, friend to Dragon Boat, friend to all who knew him here in Long Beach. He was the main reason. He's the one that nominated me. He's the one that said, we have all these sailors, swimmers, rowers, but we don't have any paddle sports representatives. So he honored me by nominating me, and ACOA honored me by voting me in.
Right. So the ACOA, I mean, this is a phenomenal place to live and be and train. And like, tell me just about the community, right? And how much impact that's had on your life and your quality of life in terms of being the aquatics capital of America.
Well, this is my life. I live about a mile from where we're sitting right now.
What a life.
Yeah.
What a life, Jeff.
On the other side of the island, almost out to the open ocean.
Do you need a new son?
I hear you. And I might as well get my mail here on our beach.
Right.
And it's paddling is a lifestyle. Once it gets in your blood, you just keep doing it. Yeah.
What do you think? We saw these 30, 40 youngsters in here bringing the skulls in, right? How does that make you feel when you see the next generation working here in Long Beach?
Well, I love seeing it.
Yeah.
As it so happens, both Dragon Boat and Outrigger here in Long Beach have kids programs.
Right.
And when I see the rowers kids programs, I'm reminded of our programs as well. So the more the merrier. Those are the future of the sport. And yep.
I think it's amazing in the community. Like, is it an expectation? Is it just the culture of the Olympics, right? And of like, you're going to be a world champion. You're going to train at the top level. Like, tell me a little bit more about that, a part of the Long Beach way.
That's
right?
definitely a Long Beach thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's the feeder program at Wilson into the water polo,
Right.
National teams, whether it's the Sailors and the Congressional Cup every year, whether it's some of so many of the Dragon Boaters that go off to World Championships train here
Right.
in Long Beach. It just goes on and on and on. There is just an expectation here in Long Beach that if you take up a sport, you better be really good at it.
You better be good at it
Yeah.
and commit to it. That's
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
What advice would you give to the youth right now that are here in 2025, like as they're participating here in Long Beach? What's the way from Jeff?
Two things. Number one, give it a try.
Right.
Okay. Dragon Boat and Outrigger are kind of oddball sports. They're not your typical mainstream sports like soccer or swimming or some of the others. But give it a try. And once you do, relish it. Enjoy it. Okay. If it ain't fun, it ain't worth it. And so, work hard, but always with a smile.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jeff, for taking a few minutes to tell your story and to just give a shout out here. Let's do a shout out. Who do you want to say thank you to? Who's been an impact for you?
Well, I want to thank Mike Baker,
Okay.
Tonight's inductee. I want to thank Dr. Chen for his generosity. He holds the biggest Dragon Boat Festival on the West Coast every summer. So I want to thank him.
And is that here?
And that's right here.
Right here.
Yep, in this water.
All right.
100 feet away.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've
yeah.
piqued my interest. I want to come back.
There you go. You got it.
Cool.
Anytime.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very great story. Yeah, absolutely. Karen Keen. Is that right? Did I say it right? Karen, tell me. All right, we're here in the storytelling zone here for the Aquatics Capital of America. I'm with Karen Keene. Karen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I am excited to hear your story. We just in our briefly mentioned that you were the third female member of, make sure I get the association right, the Long Beach Rowing Association. Is that correct, or something
Yes.
close to that? Give it correct.
That's where we are right now, the Long Beach Rowing Association.
Fantastic, and that happened not just a few years ago.
Just a few years ago, in 1970. It feels like a few years ago to me, but weird how that is. Yeah, I came down here as part of the. There was no women's rowing, so I was part of the auxiliary to the women's crew, to the
Okay.
men's crew, and it was called a club called Shell and Oar.
Okay.
And I was approached by a woman named Melinda Collis, who was she was one of the only two women rowing at that time. And she was looking for friends.
Fantastic.
So she asked if if any of us were interested in rowing, and I said, sure. And 3 months later, we were at Nationals. 2 years after that, Title IX was passed.
Got it.
And there was a women's crew started here, and the woman that I am accepting the honor for tonight is named Claudia Schneider, and she started rowing with Long Beach in those early days.
Okay.
And just sort of on a whim, she had never been in any organized sports ever in her entire life, and fell in love with rowing, and within 2 years ended up being a world champion silver medalist.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Again, back to our conversation. Like, if you pick a sport in Long Beach, expect to excel on the world stage. Yeah.
Well, we didn't know it then,
Right.
but boy, we sure found out. And I think starting from 1972, the women's rowing team that was here through Long Beach Rowing Association turned out to be the top women's rowing in the entire nation, and women started coming here to be able to train with us and to train with our coach, Tom McKibben.
And what drew them here? What made that, and just that incredible culture of excellence?
It was our coach.
Coach. Okay.
Tom McKibben. Tom McKibben was a world champion double sculler with John Van Blum, who is also an inductee here, and he trained us. He told us from the beginning he would train us twice as hard as the men, and there'd be no crying.
No crying and rowing either.
No crying and rowing.
Fair.
And so we worked very hard. He trained us to be technically perfect.
Awesome.
And so we were not only fast, we were beautiful to watch because we were so technically perfect with our rowing. And we set the bar for all the rest of the women in the United States.
And tell me about that legacy. Like, you've been doing this for a long time. You mentioned that you were the third. Like, how have you seen rowing change? What are some of the positive things that have come out of that multi-decade effort that you're seeing now that are coming to fruition?
Well, it changed from just a handful of women here and a couple of crew boats, men's crew, to I was away from the sport because I moved about as far away from Long Beach as you can and still be in California. I live in Bishop, California, near Mammoth.
Yeah.
And I came back about 15 years ago and was astounded to see so many women and high school kids.
Yeah.
And it has just grown into this most beautiful, incredible sport that all of these kids can share.
Yeah.
And it just makes my heart happy.
And it was really fun today. It was amazing watching both the men and the women get those big boats out onto the water and bring them back in. And every single one of those athletes are strong human beings. Like,
you have no idea.
You can see both physically, but like there is something about rowers that, like, they know what's going on, right?
Well, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Is
that part of the sport, or is
yeah.
that's just the expectation of the sport?
Well, it's a necessity of the sport.
Okay. Say more about that.
Well, when I was rowing, I taught Joan Lind Van Blum, how to row, and she and I were the whole team for about a year and a half. And we were the first women ever to go into the weight room at Long Beach State, ever.
Wow.
And at first, the men laughed at us.
Uh-huh.
And then they saw how hard we were working. And a lot of them, about the third or fourth time we would go in, some of them would just turn around and leave when we came in
Right.
because they just thought it was wrong that women did that. This was, 1973.
Right, right.
So that was a real long time ago. And we trained really, really hard. We were very, very strong. I had legs like a linebacker. And I actually had one of the football players from Long Beach State ask me, "How did you get your legs to look like that? I'd love to have my legs look like that." I don't know if that was a compliment or not.
I'm sure it was. Tell me about your Olympic ring.
I had that made. The Olympic ring that we got in 1976 kind of looked like a high school ring.
Uh-huh.
So I had this one made.
Fantastic. And tell me about your Olympic experience.
Well, 1976 was the first time women's rowing was ever in the Olympics.
Okay.
And Joan and I and a bunch of other people who are members from the 1972 women's team who went to European Championships. We went down to Munich because our coach and John Van Blum, Tom McKibben and John Van Blum, were in the double in the Munich Olympics. And so we were waiting for them outside the rowing venue, and a bunch of men came up to us and said, "Oh, are you American rowers?" And we said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, then you must be very excited." And we were like, "Okay, why?" And they said, "Because women's rowing has just been added for the 1976 games."
That's incredible.
So we were at the 72 games when we heard about the 76 games. And just being in the Olympics is, oh my gosh, such an experience. It's amazing. But to be able to say that we were the first,
Yeah.
it means a lot to the women now who are training.
Fantastic. Tell me one last story.
Yeah.
What's your favorite story about rowing?
Well, I have a couple of stories that I'm going to tell about
Don't
Claudia.
give it away then.
Yeah, I don't want to give those away. I got started in rowing because I didn't have any friends when I came to Long Beach State as a freshman.
Okay.
And so I went there was an organizations fair on the quad up in the campus, and all the different clubs had booths to try to recruit people. And the crew had an 8 out there, and they had the varsity guys out there. And because there was no women's rowing, they had a club called Shell and Oar, which was like the women's auxiliary to the crew. And they had a sign that said, "Meet 50 handsome men." Now, I'm a freshman in college. I saw the sign. I saw the guys. I was considered fairly tall. Back in those days. I wouldn't be considered tall now, but I was then. And I saw these tall, buff guys, and I thought, I don't know what this is, but sign me up.
Right.
And that's what got me to the boathouse in the first place.
Love it. Love it. Go have a great night. Enjoy
Thank
it.
you.
Accept that award. And thanks for all of your contribution to women's sports. Not even just rowing, just women's sports.
it's
That's
my
amazing.
honor.
Thank you so
My
much, Karen.
honor.
Appreciate it. Take that. Great work. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you all. Thanks for coming out on such a fine evening. I'm Kim Onisco, and I'm the current president of Aquatic Capital of America. There you go. Thank you very much. I'm not Jimmy Kimmel, I'll tell you that. Our primary mission at Aquatic Capital is to support youth aquatics in Long Beach. We have two primary initiatives. Our first initiative is our Waterproof Our Youth program. And that program teaches underserved kids how to swim. It's estimated that 70 to 80% of the kids in at-risk neighborhoods can't swim. If you can't swim, you can't enjoy the water here, you can't row, you can't sail, you can't play water polo. So our objective with this program, Waterproof Our Youth, is to teach the underserved community kids how to swim so that we can build great programs at Poly and water polo. That was for you Poly folks. We also have another program we started this year. It's called Grants for Gear. We found that a lot of kids at some of the underserved high schools have not had the ability to buy the basics, such as swimsuits, goggles, paddles, stuff like that. So we have another designated fund for that purpose. The two, Waterproof Our Youth and Grants for Gear, are both designated funds. That means if you give us $100 to one of those funds, that entire $100 goes 100% to teaching kids how to swim. And it just so turns out that currently it costs about $100 to get a kid drown-proofed or learning how to swim. So if you give us $100, that $100 is going to teach a kid how to swim. And we know that drowning is the second leading cause of death for children under 14. So it's a good investment in safety, as well as trying to get them out here and enjoy the water sports with us. In 2023, we put 300 children through our program. In 2024, we put another 300 children through our program. And we raised an additional $1,000 for our Grants of Gear program. In 2025, we're trying to get 400 kids through the program, and we're on track to do that. And we're trying to raise another $5,000 for Grants for Gear. If anybody has any interest in spending any time with us, helping us with our programs, being on the board, being active, donating, what have you, grab anybody here who's got one of the white tags on. They're generally our board members. And, reach out to me, and we'd be delighted to have you join us in our quest to get kids learning how to swim here in Long Beach so they can enjoy everything. They can't paddle, and they can't row unless they can swim. So that's sort of our mission. I'd like to mention two men who were integral to Aquatic Capital, who passed away this year. Tom Shadden was our founder, who established our vision. Skip Kiesel, who many of you know, was a great asset to our community, and he supported us from the very beginning. I'd like also to acknowledge Rich Foster, the Aquatic Capital past president. Rich is over here. If you don't mind standing up for just a moment, Rich. Rich is the backbone of this Hall of Fame. The reason we have this is he manages it and he runs it for us under our guidance. And he's run it since the very beginning. At this point, I'd like to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, John Neighbor. At the 1976 Montreal Olympics, John won 4 gold medals, all in world record time. And he won a silver also in the 200 freestyle because he was just beat out by his USC teammate, Bruce Furness, who had to set another world record in beating him. In 1976, John was selected as World Male Swimmer of the Year. In 1977, he also won the Sullivan Award, which is given to the athlete in the United States from all sports who is considered to be the best. John? Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to Kim as well. And I'm delighted to be here. What he neglected to mention is that I set my first world record in Long Beach at the Belmont Plaza. I'm delighted to be back. Some of you may have noticed I missed a couple of years ago due to COVID, but boy, oh boy, I'm glad to be here today. Are you glad to be here today? Think about it. We could have been here a week ago, and we wouldn't have got wet, but boy, it would have been cold. It was windy then. Are you glad that we put it off? Can we give a round of applause to the people who made the very difficult decision to postpone this event? It was tough. Now let me turn the spotlight to some of you. I speak in front of audiences on occasion, but I honestly don't think I've ever spoken to an audience that has members in it that have actually saved human lives. If you are a lifeguard and you can rationally justify saying, I have saved at least one life, would you stand up right now, please? There are people here who have saved people's lives, and we are so delighted to honor you today. That's wonderful. We're here to honor great athletes, and there's many athletes who've been honored in the past, many that may be honored in the future, but for now, if you've ever represented the United States, if you've worn USA letters on a jersey, a front or back, would you please stand in any sport, in any discipline? We've got many national representatives here. To become a Hall of Fame member in the aquatic capital of America, you've got to be a great athlete, and I'm delighted that we get a chance to honor many of you today. Last and not least, one of the things I enjoy the most about coming down here for this event every year, it's the only function every year where I get to wear a Hawaiian shirt, right? Are we delighted to wear Hawaiian shirts? Is this like the cool thing? Excellent. Very, very good. Now, Kim mentioned at the beginning we've lost a couple of people this year, not the least of which is the person who created this organization. And I'm speaking, of course, about Tom Shadden. And I did not know Tom very well, but a dear friend of his, Mike Segerblom, does know him. Mike, if you would make your way to the microphone here, and perhaps you can regale us with some stories of the founding of this organization. You come on around the stairs are behind the TV over here. By the way, when other athletes are introduced for the Hall of Fame, please come around behind the TV. You'll get stuck back there. I'd go this way. Come around behind the TV. There are steps that are hidden from the public, but that'll allow you to come to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear one nice round of polite applause. Mike Segerblom. You want to take this one? Take that one. Take that one. Tell us your first memory of Tom.
Well, I'm a very lucky man. I've knew Tom for well over 50 years. I was very young when I met Tom. Very, very young. I'd be nice to a fellow Trojan.
No, but your memories. Tell us about
yeah,
how he
so,
struck you.
well, I lived just a few blocks from the Shadden family. Sailing is what brought us together. I am the same age and spent many, many years with John, Tom's son, and that brought me into the Shadden family. Very fortunate.
Did Tom talk about the thinking behind creating this organization?
I have been with Tom's thinking on the creating of organizations since the 70s. So I spent a lot of time with him on the thinking and the creating of this. Back in the 70s, Tom was working his way through Long Beach Yacht Club, and he founded, and I just want to point out that this is the culmination of a lifetime of creation for Tom. In 1977, he created an organization called the Southern California Youth Yacht Racing Association, which was the organization of youth sailing in Southern California, the approximately 25 yacht clubs and community sailing centers from San Diego to just north of Santa Barbara, that frankly, now having lived my life through all of that, has been responsible for making Southern California one of the most successful places in creating competitive sailors in the country, if not the world, with more college All-Americans, more Olympians and Olympic medals, just getting organizations to cooperate and function together, planning calendars and doing things. And Tom founded that organization in 1977. He then went on to be Commodore of Long Beach Yacht Club in 1980 and created a much more robust youth sailing program at Long Beach Yacht Club that continues today very successfully. But he rolled immediately. And in 1981, the Olympics was developing for 1984, and Tom had a vision. Tom had a lot of visions, and we're here because of one of those. But in 1981, his vision was to have a facility that athletes could train at, and that was the U.S. Sailing Center. He began in 1981 and battled with cities and bureaucracies and coastal commissions and all the things that we now know exist. And in 1992, he called me and he said, Mike, I was somewhat fresh out of business school at USC, and he said, would you come and help us get a deal done with the city? We're all volunteers, and they're somewhat bureaucratic, understatement, and I think it'll take 6 months. So I said, sure, Tom, let's do that. And so I signed on. 18 months later, we signed a lease and passed the Coastal Commission, and 35 years later, I retired last June.
You are definitely a volunteer for this organization.
So that got me into Tom's life even further. He was, of course, the first president of this U.S. Sailing Center, and through the 90s, we eventually built a building in 1999, and went on to run. You know, Tom was an amazing. I think most people here know him, and it's a term that I generally hate, but Tom was a nice man. He was also a gentleman, and he was driven. And he always had a vision and always had his next plan. And, he spent a good 15 years developing the U.S. Sailing Center and working with that. But somewhere along there, a new vision came into his mind. And that vision is why we're here today. In the early 2000s, the aquatic capital of America was something that struck Tom. And, I define Tom in three ways. Family was first. He has a huge family, many of which are still very active here in the community. He loved sailing. He loved the water. And so it was natural that the aquatic capital. And the final thing that he really loved was the city of Long Beach. He was a huge supporter of many aspects of this city, and he really supported those. So he was a mentor to me for decades and decades. Last March, I was at a Aquatic Capital event, and there was Tom with 1,000 questions for me about what's going on in the sport and what's happening and what can we do. And it's a huge loss, but he lived an amazing life into his 90s.
Allow me to wrap this up. If he was standing here right now, in a single sentence, what would he say to this audience?
Well, he was so proud that the aquatic capital of America had succeeded and was rooted and supporting youth aquatics. And I just want to tell a brief thing, slightly personal, but how it ties this organization's missions. For 35 years, I ran the U.S. Sailing Center, and we ran an at-risk youth program. And I can tell, and our objective was to get kids sailing. Well, you really can't get kids sailing until they can swim. And the swimming part of that thing was bringing the kids down, and we called it the swim test. To us, it wasn't a test, and we didn't really care. They were going to wear life jackets if they were Olympic swimmers. But we wanted to see their level of comfort with the water. I had a golden retriever for 12 years. That was my man. And I just want to tell you that when you watch 30 Long Beach at-risk kids standing on the dock, imposing on that swimming issue, and my golden retriever jumps off into the water and they goes, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And when they become comfortable with the water, they become comfortable with aquatics, and it opens a whole new world to them. So what this organization does is tremendous, and I hope that in Tom's vision, they will continue to do it for many, many years.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Sorry to cut you off.
That's okay. I've heard the music before.
I had a chance to visit Portugal a couple of years ago and went to Nazaré, site of the 100-foot wave. Unfortunately, that week there was nothing much more than 10 feet. But I look at that and I think the courage to get into the water when there's a skyscraper coming your way. Well, Long Beach has one of the founders of big wave skiing being honored tonight. I'm talking about Chuck Lennon, and joining me on stage would be Jericho Poplar. Please, Jericho, come on up. Here you go. Go this way. This way. Oh. Okay. All right. This is going to be a family affair. Okay. Can I hold your arm at all? You're okay?
My pleasure.
Thank you, Chuck. Boy, it's an honor. Jericho, you come on around. Come around here.
Okay.
Tell us why we're honoring Chuck tonight.
Because he's one of the original pioneers of riding big waves in Hawaii and Peru and in California when they started to roll here. Yeah.
And Chuck, tell us here with this microphone right here, your experience the first time you rode a big wave.
My first big wave was at Makaha in 1960. Actually, in 1960, and I was riding the Makaha International Surf Contest. Prelims was about 25 to 30 feet, and they moved my heat from Sunday to Saturday. And I qualified on that particular wave. I made the bowl, then I made the channel, then I made the inside, which was 38 out of 40 points.
Tell us about the waves in Hawaii. Those are big waves. Talk about that experience.
Well, the biggest wave I've ever had was probably with Greg Noll and Bobby Cloutier. We're at Waimea Bay, and Greg said, let's go out. Well, I'm riding, it was 20, 25 feet. He says, come out with the boys. You got to be serious. I'm with you right now. So he takes off, I take off. The three of us took off Bobby Cloutier, and we wiped out on the wave, about a 35 to 40-foot wave. And I come up and I said, where's Greg Noll? I can't find him. He kind of grabbed my handlebar mustache, and that's all she wrote. We buddy surfed the wave in. Waimea was closed out.
Do you have the trophy to present? Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm juggling and spinning plates over here. You're going to present him the award?
No, I just have introductions.
That's what I meant. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Oh, good evening, everyone. My name is Noah Corelli, and I'm a senior at Woodrow Wilson High School. I've been on the varsity surf team for the past 3 years now, and I'm proud to be honoring my school and the Long Beach surf community. The real honor is to introduce Chuck Lennon. He's a legend in the surf community. He was born here in Long Beach in 1936. He quickly got the nickname of Surf King. I mean, we know why, 40-foot waves. I mean, he competed in some of the sport's earliest competitions, such as the first U.S. Championship at Huntington Beach in 1959, the World Contest at Makaha in 1961, and the Senior World Contest in Peru in 1964. He placed runner-up at Malibu Masters in 1973 and went on to win titles as an NSSA Senior Champion and a WSA Grand Master. What impresses me the most is the way Chuck helped shape the surf community. He was one of the pioneers of big wave surfing on the North Shore of Hawaii, and he taught the future champ, Corky Carroll, how to shoot the Huntington Beach Pier. What impresses me the most is how he was a key role in orchestrating the first organized surf association in the U.S. And as someone who spent so much of my life surfing, I'm truly inspired by Mr. Lennon's courage, leadership, and impact on the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to welcome Mr. Chuck Lennon into the Long Beach Aquatic Hall of Fame.
If you've got a camera, come forward. This is an opportunity. If you turn to the left, Jericho, over here. Oops, sorry.
Coach.
And to put a smile on his face, surfing is in the Olympic Games now.
Here you go.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much. We're going to.
Thanks, John.
You're very welcome. We're still learning our way around here. Just a second. All right, on deck, Susan Bartholomew Williams is about to be honored via the video screen. So if you if you're back to the screen, feel free to turn your chair around, take a look at the video. We're going to honor one of America's great triathlon pioneers, Susan Bartholomew Williams. Tell us a little bit about how your swimming career began.
Oh, it started when we lived in Panama City, Florida, and I started doing lessons. My dad was in the Navy, so we were on the Navy base, and I got as far as I could get with what my age was. So like, you should probably just join a swim team. So I joined the Bay County YMCA, and with a friend of mine and our coach, when we were trying out, my coach was like, "Wow, they can actually swim." And I remember my mom saying, "Well, of course they can swim." So that's kind of where I started.
And one of your early events, national or junior record at age 15 in the 200-meter butterfly. What made you decide that that was the stroke for you?
I think it was on that first swim team. Every Wednesday was fly day, and I like to work hard, and so I think because it is one of the harder events and strokes, it just became kind of my best stroke, and still is. I don't know, it's my best. It's still my favorite.
I think if my club had a butterfly day on Wednesdays, that would be the day our attendance was the least.
And that might have been the case, but I was there.
Later, you went to the University of Alabama. You swam under Olympic coach and a Hall of Fame inductee, Don Gambrill. Tell us a little bit about what he taught you. What did you learn under him, and what are your memories of that time?
Yeah, so he was definitely a well-known coach. He was still a little bit of the era where it was a lot of distance training, like long distance, which my high school coach was kind of similar, which in some respects helped my freestyle a lot, but didn't help my butterfly as much. But he certainly brought a lot of knowledge to the table. I remember we had to stay home we had to stay in Alabama for Thanksgiving to train. And he was a hunter, so he'd bring, like, one day at the end of practice, he'd bring a deer and venison, and we just eat the venison. And I do remember that a lot. But yeah, good guy.
Talk about Don Gambrill doing a lot of hard work. Was that in any way responsible for the mononucleosis that you suffered, and how did that affect your swimming career?
Certainly was a part of it because it was a lot of hard training. I didn't really have to study a lot in school, and once I got into college, school was a little bit harder, so it took energy. But I think too, I was pretty driven. I know that some of the other freshman girls and I would go out and do kind of like our extra super secret workout. So I think I was just kind of pushing a little too hard with swimming and school and social activities and stuff, and it just became too much.
I know a lot of athletes burn out, but you didn't burn out. You transferred from swimming to triathlon.
Yeah.
Tell us about that transition. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I started running a little bit with John T. Skinner was a coach there as well, and I started running a little with his wife after my last swim meet. And I had run some with my mom when I was younger. And when I went to grad school in Colorado, and I found out about this sport called triathlon. I had been biking with friends on the weekend, and I swam masters, and I got really into trail running, and I thought, I should give this a try. So right after I graduated from grad school, I did my first one, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was probably the slowest transition I've ever had in my career, but I didn't know any better. And it was just a lot of fun to combine 3 events that I already really liked.
So it sounds like you retired from swimming and then decided to start up again in the new sport.
Mm-hmm.
When did your Olympic dreams get ignited in the triathlon?
So I think that was probably in 1996. They had just announced that they were going to add triathlon to the Olympics, or as I just found out about, they're adding triathlon to the Olympics in 2000. And actually, my manager at Lockheed Martin at the time was like, "Oh, I hear they have this resident team down in Colorado Springs. I know you really like triathlon." So I actually applied for the resident team and ended up making it. And so I was on the resident team in '97, and really helped kind of get my run to where it needed to be, and shooting for the 2000 Olympics. But that's when I got pregnant and had my daughter Sydney. So
Oh, okay. That's a fair trade-off. Now, in 2004, I think you were the last American woman to make the triathlon Olympic team, and you went on to win a medal at the Olympics. Tell us a little bit about what took place in between those two spectacular events.
Yeah, it was, well, one of them, I was definitely the underdog, and there was no attention given to me at all. And so I had no pressure on myself. I had an amazing coach that just, really got my running up to speed, literally, and was so encouraging. And she we approached the race like this is just any other race. Just, you've trained hard, you've done everything you can, just go out and do your best. So I had no pressure on myself. And I think that really helped a lot. I think the other two girls on the team were ranked first and second in the world. So they had a lot of pressure, and I just got to go do my thing, and it just worked out.
I think that was similar to what happened this last year in Paris. But in any way, tell me about the race itself. At what point in the race did you think, hey, I got a real shot for a medal here?
So it's kind of funny. So biking was my strength, even though I was a swimmer. And I actually crashed on the bike. I don't know if you guys know that, but during the Olympics, and as I'm crashing, I'm like, I can't believe I'm crashing in the Olympics. But I was like, I got to get back on my bike. So I get back on my bike, and I'm riding actually eventually with the other Americans. We were in second, third, and fourth. And I knew the run was a challenge for me. But we got to the run, and I ended up running by the other two Americans. And I'm like, okay, I just got to hold it together. I'm not going to guess anything. Then when I had maybe a mile left, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in second place. I'm in second place. And then this Kate Allen who was representing Austria flew by me. It's like I was standing still. I'm like, I'm in third place. I'm still in third place. So I think that's when I started to realize, like, oh my gosh, I think I can actually get a medal here. And I did.
If you crashed and got back up again, it sounds like you bounced off the ground and came right back pedaling. How long were you out of the race, and how many places did you drop?
I actually was only, it literally was maybe 20 seconds or 30 seconds. And nobody passed me, because that was my big worry, that I knew I needed to be near the front off the bike because I wasn't the strongest runner. And I was like, I just got to get back on my bike. I can't let anybody, pass me. And no one did, thankfully. And then I rode back up to where my teammate Barb was, and we rode a lot of the bike together, pushing each other, which was really great.
Was the crash due to something on the road, or was there a little collision between you and another rider?
Let's just say that I'd like to say it was road conditions, but it was so we had to go down this really steep hill that we didn't get to practice very much, because every time you practice going down, you'd have to go up, and we didn't want to, tire ourselves out too much. So when I first went up the hill, I moved myself up into fourth place, and I was from 10th out of the water. So I was super excited. And then we go down the hill, and I was going too fast. I couldn't see the turn yet. And then when we kind of turned in the road and I saw the turn, I realized I was going way too fast for it. So I kind of feathered my back brake, and my tires started to slide out. And they had these blue kind of mats or boards put up. And I thought, okay, I'm going to just kind of sideswipe that and keep going. But I ended up kind of doing, head into it and over the handlebars. So it was pretty embarrassing, actually, but I was okay, and it all worked out okay.
But your bike was not damaged, and
I just think it was meant to be, because my bike, nothing. I had a little kind of scratch on my leg from my brake cable, and that was it. Everything else was fully functional, and my body was fully functional. So it was very, very fortunate.
Well, we applaud you for your Olympic results, but I'd also like to hear, do you have any other stories about opening ceremonies or other athletes in the village or something? What's your favorite memory of those games in Athens?
Sure. So we didn't get to go to opening ceremonies because I think it was at least maybe 10 days before a race, and there just wasn't ideal training in Athens. There was pollution. So we trained in Florida instead. So we had to watch opening ceremonies on TV, which was kind of not as fun, but closing ceremonies was amazing. And one of the things that I thought was really cool is, it was 2004. We didn't have great relationships with the Middle East. And there was an athlete from Iraq that was there, and we chatted with him, we exchanged pins, and it just like so cool that this is a time where you can just kind of put that stuff away and just come out and compete and be together. So I thought that was pretty cool.
What does being in the Aquatics Capital Hall of Fame mean to you?
I am super honored to be invited into that because I mean, swimming is my love. Even though it ended up not being my strength in triathlon, it is, I still swim with a master's group. Every once in a while I'll do a meet, but it's just, I love swimming. It's so important to me. And to kind of come into history with that kind of thing is really cool. I'm really happy about that.
Well, as one water athlete to another, I'm delighted to welcome you to the hall. Congratulations, Susan Williams.
Thank you.
Of glass, but it takes a jeweler to put those facets and those shine on it. So thank you for all you've done. Next up, we're moving to the sport of water skiing. And to make our next introduction is Piper Anderson. Piper, come on up here.
Hi, my name is Piper Anderson. I'd like to introduce Craig Vestermark, as you guys know as Craig. I know as Birdie. Craig was born and raised in Long Beach. He graduated from Wilson High School, where he played football and baseball, and earned an A11 and CFI honors as the starting quarterback. He was selected the player of the game in the prestigious North and South Shine High School football game. Craig is a retired Long Beach firefighter and spent a lifetime swimming and skiing. In the summer of '72 was the one. That year he became the world record barefoot water skier, clocking a 72 miles per hour run. 3 months later, Craig was represented the United States at the World Championships held at the Long Beach Marine Stadium. Went head-to-head with the world champion barefoot skier from Australia. He won the event, taking the win by 4 miles per hour. In 1975, Craig broke the world record again at 92 miles per hour. Craig ended up being the world barefoot water skier champion in 1972, 1973, and 1974. He was the first water skier to exceed 100 miles per hour with 103 miles per hour effort.
Come on up, Craig. Come on up. As you make your way up, over here. Thank you. You're going to stay on stage with us? Yeah. Okay, that's good. Okay.
Good job, sweetheart.
There you go. You can tell they know each other. Congratulations.
Her mom's a Long Beach firefighter.
There you go. Thank you for your service. Thank you. All right, I got to ask, your first athletic endeavor was as a quarterback on the high school team. How do you make the transition to water?
Well, when you're 5'9" and 160 pounds, my football career came to a screeching halt at Long Beach City College when I separated my shoulder.
Why water ski?
Living here by the Marine Stadium as a young kid, I was at 3rd and Park, and 4 or 5 times a year, the National Drag Boat Association would come to Long Beach and put on events. And on Fridays, they would come down and practice. And I would be at home at 3rd and Park, and I would hear the noises from the engines, and I'd get on my bike, and I couldn't get down here fast enough to see these guys run these drag boats.
So getting out there on barefoot, first of all, how do you do that? You start on a ski and drop a ski?
Yes. I've got my ski here. Yeah.
There we go.
Rich Foster called, and we talked, and to give the people an idea, this was a step-off ski, folks. We would come up behind these 1,200 horsepower injected fuel engines, and we'd come up on this ski, and I didn't have a foot plate in front, but as the boat idled out, I would come up, and you holding pressure, and you had a heel piece here, and when I got up to 35 miles an hour, John, I would be outside the wake on the left side of the boat, and I would step off with I'd pull my back foot out and plant it, and then I would kick the ski, and my right foot would be now on the water, and then we would start the run on the quarter-mile course. But Rich suggested I bring this ski, and this is the actual ski I used 50-some years ago that I would step off of.
That's very impressive. Very impressive. Okay. I giggle when my child tickles my feet. What does it feel like to have water going by at 100 miles an hour?
Well, I did a run in 74 at 92.2 with no foot protection on, and I sustained a third-degree burn on the bottom of my right heel. And the trainer for the Los Angeles Rams in the Hall of Fame, George Menifee, he came out from Cleveland with the Rams, and he treated me at the Ram training facility. A good buddy of mine was the offensive coordinator of the Rams, Kenny Meyer. And so I had access to the Ram equipment and stuff, and George Menifee treated my third-degree burn.
Yeah, I've heard of carpet burn. I've never heard of water burn. By the way, I'm sure you're not 100% successful every time. There had to be a few crashes. Talk about the most memorable one.
There were a couple of them, one here and one in Bakersfield in the 90-mile-an-hour range, and I did something that boys aren't supposed to do. When women give birth to a baby, their symphysis pubis in their pelvis opens up about a quarter, a half an inch. Well, when I went in, we always tumbled forward, and your legs hit first, and then you start tumbling, and the pressure on my hips, they could have dislocated, but instead it sent the pressure to my symphysis pubis, and on 2 occasions it opened up like a quarter of an inch. The second time was at Long Beach, and a famous thoracic surgeon, Mo Howell, brought in town at St. Mary's Hospital. They were actually thinking of possible surgery on my pelvis to bring the damn thing back together, but it was fine. It was fine.
Did your voice change?
No, my voice didn't change.
Now you're a little bit of a rapscallion.
I'm going to tell you one other thing. Okay. That second crash at Long Beach at 90 miles an hour, any of you who've ever been in a traffic accident or anything, it goes to slow motion, and to see my crash in person, I look like a prop, doing like a half dozen tumbles. And I remember hitting the first time, and I said to myself, oh my God, don't let me hit hard again. And it just felt like it was in slow motion, folks. And then to see the footage, and I was literally spinning across, going end over end a half dozen times at 90 miles an hour. But I remember hitting the first time. The second time I did it, crashed hard, I said to myself, oh my God, don't let me hit hard again.
For those of you who don't know, Greg Louganis off the 10-meter tower hits the water going 35 miles an hour. He's going 90. I was going to say, as a bit of a rapscallion, you were in these waters trying to do a little bit of barefoot skiing without official permission.
This is where I did 90% of it right here. I broke all my world records right here.
And I understand Rich Foster was trying to catch you and was unable to do so. You got out of the water faster than he could get there.
Well, he isn't the only one. There's a guy here, Pat Flynn, and they chased us more than once because we were always looking for smooth water, and a lot of times we spent a lot of time with some of my knuckle-headed fireman buddies over here, Dave Leslie in particular, and we would be over on Studebaker channel there, Coyote Creek, and we'd be in there sharing the water with the rowers. Water skiing.
All right, we could hear him all night, but we don't have time. How about a round of applause for this young gentleman? More cameras. If you want a camera, want to come up? She's going to present you. You bet.
Thank you, sweetheart. All right. John, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Congratulations. Make your way safely. Please be safe. Please be safe. I'm telling him, please be safe. Yeah, right. Okay, is Chelsea Drew nearby? Chelsea, come on up, please. She's going to introduce our next honoree.
It might be a little short for me. Hello, my name is Chelsea Drew, and I'm a junior at Wilson High School. I also am on the women's team at Kahakai Outrigger Canoe Club. Tonight, I have the absolute honor of introducing to you all ACOA Hall of Fame inductee, Julie Leach. Leach made her international debut at only 17 years of age in the Junior World Championships in Poland. Just 2 years later, she was competing at the Montreal Olympics in flatwater kayaking. Leach later went on to win what was considered the World Championship surf ski race in Hawaii. She also won the Outrigger World Championship in the same spot just 1 year later. We could spend this whole night talking about Julie Leach's many accomplishments and wins, but I cannot keep you all here that late. So, what we're going to focus on, Julie Leach, what makes Julie Leach such an incredible athlete is her versatility and flexibility within the water sports world. As a multi-sport athlete, Leach has always known how to pivot. When her plans to compete in the 1980 Olympics were foiled by the US's boycott, she pivoted to triathlon. She won a major competition just 2 years later, the Hawaii Ironman Triathlon. As a fellow competitor in a small sport, I understand the struggles that can come with having limited opportunities for competitions. The fact that Leach was able to take multiple of these small sports to such high levels of competition is what I find so impressive about her. Thank you for your time, and congratulations, Julie.
Well done. No notes. No notes. That's impressive. Let us turn our attention to the video screen for an interview with Julie Leach. Our audience that are not that familiar with canoe kayak, tell us a little bit about the sport and how you came to fall in love with it.
Well, I paddled K1 or the singles kayak, and I started as a teenager. We had a paddling club at our high school, and I just enjoyed the glide on the water. I loved it just from the beginning, even though the boats are really different. Balance-wise, I just love that glide that you could get, and that just made me want to do it more.
I understand you and I were both inspired by the 1972 Olympic Games in Munich. Tell us a little bit about the beginning of your chase of Olympic glory.
Well, in 1972, I think I was 14 or 15 years old, and I never really sat down and watched an Olympic Games. And when I did, I was just hooked. I think I watched everything that they had on TV. It's just amazing, the excitement, the spirit of the world being there, athletes all over the world. And afterwards I said, I have to do this. You know, I want to kayak and I want to go to the Olympics. So it just really grabbed me.
Amazingly, within 2 years, you were competing at the Junior World Championships in Poland. That was a little bit of a bumpy experience for you. Tell us about it.
Yes, well, being a teenager, I probably wasn't the best listener. And so, traveling was a big thing too. You know, we flew, then we took the train into Poland, and getting there, that was like my first international competition. So it was just exciting. But being a teenager, I wasn't really the best listener, I guess, at some of the meetings we had. And my competition didn't go so well. I got disqualified for wearing the wrong shirt. I didn't wear the correct competitive t-shirt. So that's a very important thing to do, apparently.
Well, aren't you glad that happened at the juniors and not at the Olympics?
Yeah. Well, I did go on in 1975 to paddle another Junior World Championships, and I ended up making the final. And so it pays off.
The Olympic Games, the ultimate in kayaking. Tell us about your time experience there and any favorite off the water moments.
Well, there were tremendous moments just from the get-go, coming to the Olympic Village, because all the Olympic athletes were staying at the Olympic Village, and going to the cafeteria and noticing, hey, there's that famous gymnast, or standing next to a famous runner or pole vaulter. It was amazing. One thing that was a little odd was our transportation was different because of the 1972 drama. We would hop into a van, and our kayak area or the rowing basin was pretty far away by van. They would take us on a different route every time, like a secret route. And it took about an hour to get there. So going from, so getting to our kayak basin was really different. We would have to shuttle. It wasn't a place where we could walk to. So we'd get in the shuttle, and there were armed policemen in there, security, but it would take us about an hour to get to the rowing basin, an hour to get back, and you're training twice a day, so it was a lot of time. So a group of us just decided to go on the metro, take our kayak seats and kayak paddles and travel that way. We got a lot of odd looks, but the ride became 20 minutes instead. So that was one thing. But just being around so many athletes was tremendous. It was in Montreal. That was when the Olympics were. And there was a canal out of the rowing basin where you could paddle where the World's Trade Fair was in 1926 or whatever. And that was really different, paddling in through the buildings. So I know we also, one of the greatest moments as an Olympian, you can have tickets to all the different events. So not only was I training, but I could go watch track and field, swimming, diving, volleyball, handball, boxing. And that was a great experience to sit with other Olympians from all over the world and watch other events.
Now, you got to compete for a medal in the Olympic final. Tell us about that race.
Well, it wasn't, I qualified fourth. I had a great semifinal and I qualified fourth. But unlike swimming or track and field, if you qualify as a top athlete, you're usually seated as a top athlete in a middle lane, you're near the competition and you have eyes on both sides. But I got put way off to the side in lane one. And, but that, that's the way it goes. And I can't say I had my best performance, but it was an amazing experience.
It was probably not going to be your only experience. You were training for the 1980 Olympics in Moscow, and then Jimmy Carter called for a boycott. Tell me about your thoughts on that.
The boycott was very disheartening before the 1980 Olympics. I think that was going on around December or January. So you've got about a half a year to qualify, go through qualifications, and it was such a letdown. It was very depressing. Both my husband and I were together, and it was an amateur sport. All the sports back then were amateur sports. So you don't have support. We had limited coaching. It just didn't go well. I didn't qualify, but the other women, did, and they did a great job, and I got beat. So that's the way it goes.
So you dropped out of the amateur sport of kayaking and you discovered the professional sport of triathlon, right?
Well, I guess it was professional at that time. It was pretty limited again. But yes, my husband, Bill, went to start training for triathlons. He just had a lot of energy. You're training, you have a big focus, you have a big passion, and he had to take his energy and put it elsewhere. So he started training for the 1981. Maybe it was the he started training for the 1982 Ironman. There were two in that year, one in October and one in February. So I went over to watch, have a vacation, get a tan, enjoy myself. But being around all those athletes was thrilling. And I just got hooked again. And I came home and said, I'm going to get a bike and I'm going to start going. So as a challenge.
Okay, now the K1 500 is the shortest kayak event. It's a sprint. And the Ironman is probably the longest event on the planet. How do you make that transition?
I just looked at it as a challenge. You're right in saying that I went from a 2-minute sprint to 10 hour and some change event. So that's really different. But, we had been training on the water twice a day and doing running for fitness, swimming for fitness. So, I really had a background. I was still really fit at that time, and I really had a background. I think picking up the bike for an endurance race was probably the hardest. But
Well, not only
I
did
found
you,
out I was a better endurance athlete than anything else.
I was going to say, not only did you pick it up, but you blossomed. You won the 1982 Iron Man. They should call it the Iron Woman.
Or person.
Or person. There you go. And tell me a little bit about that. What's it like then to be the best in the world at something?
Well, I didn't start out that way. As I said, I think I looked at it as a real personal challenge for me, not ever going that distance. I'd done some shorter distance and mid distance, but never tackled the length of that. So my training was probably not the best. For instance, the longest bike ride I ever did was 100 miles, thinking I could ride 12 more miles. My longest run was a 20-mile run, thinking, I can go 6 more miles, but that's not really how it works. And so I really looked at it just a challenge, a very personal challenge. After competing though in some races, I believed I could be in the top 5. And I did think that if I had my best race on that one day, that perhaps I could win. Because that's what sports is, it's having, I didn't get my best race in the kayaks on that day. I got it in the semifinals, but not in the finals. And so you just have to try your best.
The triathlon was an Olympic event in the year 2000. What did you think about that?
It was fun to watch, really different, but I was never the sprinter. It was a very fun race. And this Olympics was, I think, really good when they were, in the Seine, river in the Seine, and you had the beauty of Paris there. But I was really happy that triathlon got to be an Olympic sport, that it was so well established by then.
And to be fair, the Olympic triathlon is much shorter than the Iron Person.
I think it's like less than a 2-hour race.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Last question. What does it mean to you to be inducted into the Aquatics Capital of the World Hall of Fame?
Well, I'm really thrilled to be inducted. I was surprised anybody would remember. I did go to Long Beach, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Long Beach, went to Long Beach State. And so I'm really thrilled to be a part of that. I did training there, between classes, running. So I'm really thrilled to be inducted. And my last parting words, I would like to encourage anyone of any age to step in, run in, dive into the water, glide into the water, because water's so dynamic. And you would know as a swimmer, it's exhilarating and it is tranquil all at the same time.
Says the woman living on Molokai in Hawaii. Thank you for joining us. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
I like to say if you were a long distance swimmer or triathlete in the Paris Olympics, you must have been insane. No, you don't like, oh, well. All right. By the way, a lot of people worked long and hard in advance of this dinner, not just setting up the event, but these video interviews took a lot of advance work. We had to line up timings. There's editing involved. There's sound adjustment. By your applause, do you think these videos add to the evening? Are they helping us move the program along? I think that's great. Okay, so now we're going to go to our last video of the evening. And to introduce our winner here is Aiden Greenwood. Aiden, are you here? Come on over. Come on. Here we go. Our first of 2 water polo players inducted today, but here is Aiden. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Aiden Greenwood. I'm a sophomore and the varsity captain at Long Beach Poly High School. Thank you. Just like I am now, Dr. Alan Mouchouar played water polo as a jackrabbit. During his time at Poly, he won Moore League twice, beating Wilson not once, but twice. After graduating from Poly, he went on to go play for Stanford University, where he became a 3-time national champion and a 4-time All-American. One thing I really admire about Dr. Allen is his work ethic. Not many people know this, but while competing for the USA national team, Dr. Mouchouar also was studying in med school at San Diego State. I think that speaks to his dedication and his hard work in and outside of the water. I'm very honored to induct someone from my high school, an alumni of my high school, and someone that is such a focused individual of our community. Thank you.
Enjoy the video. Enjoy the video. Delighted to welcome you, Alan, to the Hall of Fame and to this opportunity to chat with you a little bit. As is usual, how do you start playing water polo at Poly High School? How does that begin?
Well, first of all, let me just thank the Hall of Fame for this honor. And a shout out to Paul Dunning, who was a teammate of mine in high school that kind of, I think, resurrected my name at some point. But no, it's truly an honor. There's a lot of great athletes. Anyway, I think, way back when, it was not quite the same as it is now. As an athlete, you kind of played baseball, basketball, football during the seasons. I think I mostly excelled at baseball and was planning on playing baseball in high school. So that was my plan. And there was a bunch of us that decided in the off season to join the water polo team. And, so there was a group of friends that said, why don't we just join the water polo team? My older brother was a year ahead of me and he played. So it looked kind of fun. And I thought, at a minimum, I'll get in shape. It looked pretty hard. And so that's how it started. There was probably 10 of us and it wasn't hard to make the team because, there were no tryouts. It was just about 10 of us that started.
Did you take to it naturally, or was it a bit of an effort?
I think I was a bit of a natural. The hard part was learning how to tread water. I was that old scissor kick that didn't really kind of work in water polo. You had to learn to egg beater. So I think that was the hard part. And just getting in swimming shape, getting up and down the pool was challenging. It probably took a good 2-3 months to kind of get used to that.
Okay, one of the great rivalries in water polo of all time is the battle between Poly and Wilson. Tell us a little bit about that rivalry, and including, I guess, Jody Campbell, another Hall of Fame inductee.
Yeah, so we had some success my sophomore year. We actually beat the Wilson sophomore team. So, but going into my junior year, I think that we were quite the underdog, especially with Jody on that team. They had, they were on paper. There's no way we should have beat them. But we went into Long Beach Wilson, probably the highlight of our high school years, as a tremendous underdog, and we upset that team. I don't know how it happened. We just kind of came together. Everyone played over their heads, and that's kind of how it worked out.
I think that's a wonderful lesson for us all, that no matter how it looks on paper, pretty much anybody can win if they do the right thing at the right time. Your transition from high school to college began a remarkable career, 3 national titles at Stanford. Who gets the credit for that? Your teammates, your coach, combination?
I think it's everybody. We had a lot of talent, but as most athletes on team sports know, that you can have the talent, but unless you have the coach that brings the players together and you play as a team, then you're not going to meet with much success. So we had an incredible recruiting class, and when I was deciding on where to go to college, I looked at Jody had decided before me, and another guy named Chris Kelsey, who were the top 2 recruits in the country. They decided to go to Stanford, and I just decided I'm not playing against these guys for 4 years. I'm playing with them. So we really came in with the top 3 recruits in the country that year, and they had sort of a star-studded senior class at the time. And Dante was kind of in his youth as a coach, but really just let you play and develop as a player. And it all came together. We did have a little bump in the road my sophomore year where we took 3rd, which isn't terrible, but we ran into a tough Santa Barbara team. And Jody had fouled out in the second quarter, so that was a big hit to our team. But I think that motivated us to continue on to 2 more national championships.
Tell us a little bit about what Coach Dedamonte said or did to bring the team together time after time.
I think he was a coach that really related to his players. You never felt like when he was yelling at you that it was personal, that he was always trying to teach you to do new things and to play within the team framework. I think that was probably the most important part, there wasn't just one great player out there. We had 4 or 5 great players that all contributed in different ways. So honestly, I think it was just magical how it all came together. And he was a lifelong friend. He recently passed away on a bike accident, but we stayed in touch for decades.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Okay, so graduating from collegiate water polo to Olympic water polo in 1988, your team won the silver medal in what I understand would have been a gold medal if the 1984 tiebreaker rules were in effect in 1988. So it's a sweet and sour experience. Tell us about it.
I was very fortunate in a sense that in 82, I graduated from college. And then, the 80 boycott occurred, and that might have been around your time. And so none of the team left. There was no spots on the team. And so I kind of thought my Olympic career was over. So I went to medical school. But I was fortunate enough to get into UC San Diego, where they had water polo at that college, and it was close enough to Newport Beach where we would end up being based. So I was able to sort of hop back into it during med school after the 84 games. The Olympics were, it's an amazing experience, just the energy in the village and meeting all the athletes. And, we had some ups and downs in the early rounds. We beat Yugoslavia, who ended up winning the tournament. We beat Hungary, which was a top 3 team. And we beat Greece, and we ended up in the finals, actually the semifinals. At the time, there was 4 teams that went into the final round. We had a great game against the Russians, beat them solidly, and then we ended up playing Yugoslavia again because they had beat Germany. And it was a tough game to lose because we were ahead 5-2 at half, and you're tasting gold, and we ended up losing in overtime. So it's a hard medal to win in a sense that. As I get older, I appreciate it more, right? I got a silver medal from the Olympics. It was a great thing. But at the time, losing the last game's tough. We just really wanted to win.
And by the way, an Olympic silver medal is the highest result a U.S. men's Olympic water polo team has ever enjoyed. So certainly congratulations for that. After athletics, you became a doctor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what did water polo do to prepare you for life after sport?
Well, I think you have to be very disciplined and very efficient with your time. When you're going to med school, training for a sport, getting up early, doing things that you wouldn't necessarily want to do, but you feel like you have to do to reach that end goal. So I think that those are the lessons you learned, and you learn to work within a team framework, and that's medicine too. I'm an anesthesiologist. We work in the operating room with surgeons and nurses and a variety of people, and working with a team is important.
You live in Newport Beach now?
Yes.
What does being in the aquatics capital of America's Hall of Fame mean to you?
As I get older, I appreciate the things I used to be able to do because I certainly can't do them anymore. And there's so many aquatic people around down in Newport Beach and in Long Beach that remember the games. They come up to me and appreciate the games. I still are in touch with a lot of the old players that live around here. So it's really been a lifelong kind of journey and a source of social interaction for me that's been very positive.
I met some soldiers who say that the people you go to war with, the people you enter a battle with, become your brothers for life. Have you experienced that?
I think that's true. When you're in the grind, in the pool 6 hours a day with 15 guys, and you're pushing each other along when you don't feel like it, and sometimes you're pulling other people along, it makes a real difference. And I think that it's easier when you're with a group of guys. Like if you're an individual swimmer like you were, I just think you have to have a different mind frame. I think it's tougher to do it by yourself, for sure.
I was told that the people in America who are big and tough, they go into football. People in Hungary go into water polo. That it requires a big bruising battle in the water. In fact, there was the story of the 1956 team that had blood in the water. How much did you weigh then, and what do you weigh now?
Well, I played my game weight was about 195, 200, and I was one of the smallest guys on the team. So I was more of a kind of a basketball guard. I had to be kind of quick and scrappy. But yeah, well, now I've actually just recently lost a bunch of weight just because I'm on sort of a health kick.
Okay.
But so I'm kind of weighing in about 180 or so. But I think for water polo, you have to like the physical contact. You know, there's a lot of wrestling in the water. There's a lot of kicking and punching, and you know, you learn where not to put your head. And I grew up with three brothers that, you know, and there was really no parenting at the time, and so we were beating on each other every day. So unless someone was hitting me, you know, I wasn't feeling the love. So, you know, I think that's why I kind of took to it. I didn't mind, you know, someone kicking me or punching me, as long as I could punch them back. So no, but it was rough. The Hungarians, the Europeans, Yugoslavians were very large human beings that were very good in the water.
How do you prevent yourself from losing your temper and keep your eye on the ball and stay in the game?
Well, I think that, you know, in the early years, you lose your temper, and then you get in a fight, you get kicked out, and you hurt your team. So you learn to just be patient, and you'll get your opportunity to get even, which you always have to do, of course. So you learn over the years how to just be patient.
Well, and I guess that's probably helpful in any post-athletic career, that patience and control. And we are delighted to welcome you into the America's Aquatics Capital of the World Hall of Fame. Thank you so much, and well done.
All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Interview and thinking of my next question, but tonight I get to watch the interview, and I had an epiphany. I asked him, what did water polo teach you to prepare you for life after sport? But my epiphany is sport also, you have to unlearn some lessons from sport before you go into the real world. And by that I mean that in water polo you get in trouble for knocking somebody unconscious. As an anesthesiologist, you get in trouble if you don't. Okay, fine. Okay, coming up now, Jacob Eckelman is going to be introducing our next honoree. Jacob.
Hello, my name is Jacob Eckelman, and I'll be introducing Mike Baker, who was he was a big impact on dragon boat and outrigger in the dragon boat community. He spent countless hours making sure safety of the Long Beach Dragon Boat Festival, so everyone could have fun. He brought lots of people together. He was also big. He was a part of the ski patrol, which was a fun fact I learned, and he was part of CHP. So he did a lot, and he spent a lot of his time dedicating his time to do what he loved on the water, and also help out there patrolling. So, yeah, that's all I have.
All right.
There wasn't really
That's
a lot.
fine. That's fine.
So, thank you.
We're gonna bring up three friends to help talk about him. Let's please welcome Parks Wesson, Howard Chen, and Yumi Yukawa. Come on up here.
Hi, John. Nice to meet you.
Delighted. Is Howard Chen here? Is Howard's coming. All right. I want to start with Howard. Come on, let me invite Howard up here first. Howard, come on over here in the center, right where the light is. I'm gonna ask you to explain what is a dragon boat.
Okay, dragon boat is the original probably 2,500 years ago, started in China. Okay, but right now it's a very popular European because it's all the canoe countries, they do the dragon boat. and the Asia is very good. So we're not in the Olympics, but we try very hard. So I'm the ICF Dragon Boat Committee board member, try to promote the sports, but it's kind of hard. We're not so professional like other sports, but our sports had a lot of fun.
But I need you to describe a dragon boat.
Okay, the boat is right across. If daytime, you can see our boat right there. Okay, it's very long. It's about 40 feet long, and we put our bigger boat. We put 20 people in there. Then we have a drummer on the front. Then we steer person in the back.
The competition, how long do they row the dragon boat?
For the international race right now, we have a sprint race, 200 meter, 500 meter, and we have a pursuit race, 2,000 meters. Yes.
Okay, so sprint and distance.
Yes.
Any chance we'll see this in the Olympics someday?
That is why the ICF, they recruited me, but I think it's pretty hard because our sports is we take too many people, they say. Yeah, each bowl, we have a lot of small bowl, even small bowl, sometimes 8-man bowl, 10-man bowl, but you get just 12 countries, already 200-300 people. So, they're try cutting a lot of sports. So it's kind of hard, but I think that's not important because the best sports, like NBA, minor, the baseball, they're not in those teams don't go to Olympic, but they're still very good. So we try to do a lot of international championship race.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you for your comments. Let me talk to Yumi over here. Tell us a little bit about the honoree.
So Mike Baker, I've had the pleasure of first meeting his wife, TK, who's also a Hall of Fame honoree. But Mike Baker was a coach for our Keikis with Lokahi Outrigger Canoe Club. And we are right next door to the Dragon Boat Racers and Kahakai. But we loved Mike. He was our Keiki coach, and he will talk endlessly. He talked endlessly about his Keiki girls that he loved, and he coached, and he would tell us stories about how, so we have huli drills where the canoe flips over and you have to get back in the canoe, bail the water. He would talk about his girls and how they would go around Naples Island and purposely flip over the canoe, play in the water, and then come back like 30, 40 minutes later, and he's like, "Where are you?" And they're just having fun, frolicking. But he was so proud of these girls, and they're young adults now, and some of them have come back to paddle with us, and so it's been a great legacy of Mike.
It sounds like he's provided you with a lifetime of memories.
Yes, lifetime of memories and laughs. We love.
Wonderful.
And love him.
Bart's come on forward for a second. He wasn't just a one-sport athlete, was he?
No, Mike had an incredible ability to connect people around Long Beach, whether it was the dragon boat, the paddlers, the swimmers, the surfers, the sailors, the rowers. He brought all these guys together, and he participated in all these sports, and he stepped up when he needed to help them. And in fact, about 2 years ago, Mike ran into Christina Dugan, our city council person here, and down at the beach, and he said, "Christina, we need to set up a group to put the aquatic groups together, talk about their challenges, and see what we can do to help the community." And that group has turned into the Alamitos Bay Stakeholders Group, and they meet a couple times a month, every couple months. Figure out what the challenges are, figure out solutions, and with the upcoming Olympics, it's going to be even more important going forward. So
wonderful. I need to get Yumi back here one last time. What would Mike say to this audience tonight?
Oh man, I don't know.
Well, we'll powwow. We'll think about it.
A couple swear words in between, but all love, and I don't know. What do you think?
I think they want to pose for pictures. Why don't we bring the trophy up here and stand forward, and we have our photographer right in front. Please. Mike Baker, newest inductee. Julia Torres, would you make your way to the stage, please? Julia Torres. Here she comes. Only 3 more inductees. How are you guys doing? Are we boring you yet? No? We keep going? All right, here we go. Julia, come on up, please. Here you go.
Thank you.
Can I make this? There we go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Julia Torres, and I am a sophomore at Wilson High School. I'm also a rower here at the Pete Archer Rowing Center. I'm fairly new to the sport, but I was really impressed when I first read about Claudia Schneider, who, if you did not know, began rowing in 1973 when CSULB formed the women's rowing team. And I was extremely impressed when, just 3 years later, she made it to the Olympics and won silver for the United States, and that was in 1976. So that year marked the first year that women's rowing was included in the Olympic Games. Up until then, it was considered a men's sport, and Claudia and her crew not only proved that women belonged in the sport of rowing, but they showed that they could compete and succeed at the highest level. They were famously dubbed the Red Rose Crew due to the red roses that were tied to their shoes by a coach before the game, or before the regatta, and their uniforms were also red. So, from my own few months of rowing and the constant soreness that comes with this, I can say that it is not easy, and why I have such deep admiration for Miss Schneider is because that in just 3 years, she was able to go from a novice rower to an Olympian. And therefore, I'm honored to help induct Claudia Schneider into the Long Beach Aquatic Hall of Fame.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. So there's a great story here. Claudia was on the phone with Richard Foster preparing for this evening when she was rear-ended on the freeway at 60 miles an hour. So that's why she's not with us. But accepting her award on her behalf is another Hall of Fame inductee and Olympic rower, Karen Keene. There she is. Good to see you. Fellow Olympian. I love kissing Olympians. Here you go.
Thank you.
Karen, tell us a little bit about your experience with Claudia.
Well, Claudia did start rowing in 1973. That was when the Cal State Long Beach women's crew actually got started. She was cutting through the gym, didn't know anything about rowing, had never actually had any experience in any organized sport at all growing up. And they had the women's crew had a booth in the gym, and they stopped her because she's taller than I am, and she got interested, and so she came down to the boathouse the next day.
And would you say she was natural rower, or it came hard?
Well, her very first experience at rowing was not the greatest. The very first day that she came down here, they were short a rower. So the coach just said, well, you go ahead and get in the boat. Now, rowing is a very technical sport, and Claudia had no idea what it was like. So as they rowed around the island, she hit the girl in front of her with her oar, and she caught a crab, which means she caught the water, and it jammed her, and she had a horrible time, and she was just about ready to quit when they said, oh, well, here's the dock. Let's pull back up. And the next day she was so sore and so bruised that she didn't even come back. But they called her up and said, well, wouldn't you like to still join us? And she said, well, yeah, I just needed a day. And she came back the next day and kept going. And it was in 1975, still rowing with the Long Beach State crew, that she went back east to national championships and was invited to a first time ever camp team selection. They started with over 100 women. Claudia was chosen to be one of those 100 women. And over time, the legendary Harvard coach Harry Parker winnowed down the number of people in the crew, and Claudia was on it. And this was the team that went to World Championships in 1975, and that's where she won the silver medal. And that was the Red Rose Crew, because it was the first team that ever was chosen for women by a camp. In 76, yeah, she's pretty amazing. Yeah. That was the first time that American women ever won a medal in international competition. So that was a huge milestone. In '76, she came back here, and instead of rowing with the Long Beach State crew, we managed to grab her into our sculling program. And I was fortunate to have her in the boat that I stroked, and we rowed the quad in the 1976 Olympics, the first time women's rowing was ever in the Olympics.
Wonderful stories. I am told the sport of rowing in the Olympic parlance is referred to as the noblest sport because it takes the whole team. And in fact, the very strongest rower has to row at less than their excellence, otherwise they'll outrow the boat. And it's also the sport with the fewest celebrities, the fewest household names. They're very humble. What was Claudia like off the water?
Oh, Claudia's wonderful. She's an operating room nurse, still working as an operating room nurse. She hopes to retire soon. She is a lovely, giving, wonderful person. I was away from her for many, many years. After 1976, I quit rowing because I couldn't afford to work and row at the same time. I wasn't good at it, so working and rowing. I couldn't do both of them successfully. So, and Claudia had the same thing. She needed to work. So in 1980, when she realized that the country was going to boycott, she decided to retire and go ahead and get a job. So I went to Central Eastern California. She went to Northern California, and we lost track with each other. But last year, my husband needed some medical treatment, and we needed to stay in the Sacramento area where she lived. And she said, well, just come and stay with me. So we lived with her. My husband and I lived with her and her now husband. She recently got married for 12 weeks. That's a long time. Yeah. And it was just delightful. And so, yeah.
Since her automobile accident, have you spoken with her? What have you heard? How's she doing?
She's doing okay. She's having a little trouble with one hip, but other than that, she's okay. Mostly it was just the soreness from bracing from getting smushed.
What would she say tonight to this audience?
She would say how grateful and humble she is to be invited to be in the Aquatic Capital America Hall of Fame.
Wonderful. How about a round of applause and a photo opportunity? Step forward and we'll present you with the trophy. Okay. Next up, the second water polo inductee, Lauren Wenger Trapani. I didn't know her by her married name, but Lauren Wenger Trapani is being honored. And Ryan Bailey, they call him Bales for short, is going to come up and we're going to talk about Lauren. She's not here tonight, but while he's making his way, the story that I heard was the day of the gold medal game. Lauren's entire family in London, dressed in red, white, and blue, were on the subway. And the dad had the Olympic tickets in his fanny pack. And as they got closer and closer to the venue, the car got more and more crowded and there was bumping going on. 2 stops before the venue, he looks down and his fanny pack is open and the tickets are gone. And he remembers looking at the guy who was bumping into him, and the guy had just got off at the prior stop. So he yells at the family, we got to get off at the next stop. They catch the train coming back the other way, and they go looking for him. And they come on, with the rainbow-colored hair and the American flags, and they come off the subway, and they see the guy trying to scalp the tickets on the train railway. And they start, fanning out and zooming in. And the guy throws the tickets down. He tries to run. Water polo family. They restrain the guy, knock him to the ground. The cops come, and they get their tickets back. And the cops say, you want to file a report? And they say, no, we got a gold medal match we got to go see. And so Lauren is standing, you remember the story? Have you heard it?
No, I haven't heard the story.
Lauren is standing there as they line up the water polo team and they introduce them one at a time. And she's looking in the crowd, where's my family? Where's my family? And just as they get to her, out of the tunnel comes these 6 people with the red, white, and blue and the flags. And you can see the smile on Lauren's face as she remembers her family was there. Tell me, Bales, what makes this woman such a great water polo player?
First of all, I wouldn't mess with Mr. Wanger. He's a big guy, and she has a brother, Boomer, we call him. And it's a formidable family to deal with if you're trying to sell tickets. Lauren, to me, she was a great women's player. She was a great player. She was the best player on the team in the 2008 and 2012 Olympics. She was a do-it-all player. She played great defense. She could score goals when you needed them. And she was just outstanding as far as Olympics go. But she was also the Catino Award winner at USC. She was also a great player for Wilson, one of the best 2 or 3 players they've ever had. And she's just an all-around great player, great family, great woman, and this is well-deserved.
Oh, wonderful. You know, Rich Foster watched her. Rich, come on up real quick. He watched all those water polo games in 2012 in London, and he's got a story to tell, I'm sure, as he comes back. By the way, after this, I neglected to introduce the high schooler who's going to give her all the bio, so we'll do that in just a second. Rich, come on up, please. Okay, well, why don't you let Abby Billich, would you come on up and please read us the bio for Lauren? I'm sorry.
Hi everyone, my name is Abby Billish, and I'm really honored to be up here today to talk about someone who has inspired so many, the amazing Lauren Wanger. Lauren was born right here in Long Beach, California. From an early age, she was already turning heads in the pool. And it didn't take long for the rest of the world to notice that what Long Beach already knew. She was something special. Those who doubted her ability to succeed in college, let alone the national team, were proven wrong. Her tenacity and incredible work ethic transformed her into a dominant player at USC, who also brought that same spirit to the national team and ultimately the Olympic team. She played water polo at Wilson High School and went on to dominate in college at USC, where she helped the Trojans to the 2004 NCAA championships and won the Coutinho Award in 2006. She also graduated from as one of the top players in USC history. And then came the big stage, Team USA. Lauren competed in not 1 but 2 Olympic Games. In 2008, she helped win the U.S. silver medal, and then in 2012, she came back with her team and took home the gold. Lauren played a key role on defense. She's tall, strong, and super smart in the water. At 6'1", she definitely had a presence. But it wasn't just about size, it was about her heart, her work, her ethic, and her leadership. She made everyone around her better. Even after retiring in 2016, she continues to inspire the next generation of water polo players by proving that you can be tough, talented, and totally unstoppable. So today, as we welcome her into this Hall of Fame, we are not just honoring an athlete, we are honoring a role model, a role model and champion. Congratulations, Lauren, and thank you for showing us what's possible both in and out of the pool.
Thank you. Rich, come on up.
Sorry, I got an IT band problem on both my thighs. But Ryan mentioned she won the Coutinho Award. I don't know if you know what that means, but that's the best player in the United States. So she's really special. I was on the water polo committee for the 2012 Olympic Games, and so I was the vice chairman, so I had to see every game. And I can tell you that Lauren was the best player in the Olympic tournament in London. I mean, just amazing how she could play defense, offense, block shots, counterattack. I mean, she was really the complete player. And in my opinion, and I've seen a lot of water polo games in my life, she was the best player in the Olympic Games.
Excellent. Let's do photos. Photo front and center. Rich, stand.
Right here.
We're going to present it to Rich, I think. Go front and center. Front and center.
Front and center, okay.
In absentia, Lauren Wenger, Trapani.
Okay, Taryn Tandy. Taryn, if you would come forward. I'm not sure. Are we looking for Taryn? Oh, we might not have Taryn. Okay, well then I get to do it. We're talking about the sport of sailing, and Scotty Dixon is our final inductee for the evening. Scotty, make your way forward. Here you come. Nice Hawaiian shirt, Scotty, looking great. Hailing originally from New Zealand, one of the great windy parts of the world. Kiwi, exactly. Scotty, let's give him a round of applause for what is remarkable career.
Thanks everyone for coming out and being here on a school night.
Tell us about what sailing means to New Zealand first.
New Zealand, a little island nation down close to our big cousin Australia. So yeah, if you want to get off the island, you better be good at swimming or sailing, but basically, yeah, sailing's one of the big sports down there.
And the water around New Zealand's pretty rough.
Yeah, it can be. The joke is that Australia sneezes and New Zealand catches a cold. So they basically send us all their bad weather and we get plenty of it.
I was on an ocean cruiser between Australia and New Zealand. On the 5th floor, the dining room had portholes, and the water came up and covered the portholes with water. It's choppy. And do you prefer the smooth water, or you like the rough stuff?
Bit of both. I mean, you do enough sailing here in California, you get used to smooth sailing and light air, and it's a completely different skill set. I think growing up in Auckland, it's pretty rough. Or it can be. So that's why, you take that skill set up to somewhere like San Francisco, or the first night or two out of here on Transpac on the way to Hawaii. You do enough sailing, you need to have all of those.
You moved full time to the area because of sailing, or some other reason?
I had the opportunity. Got a phone call from a friend of the family back in '94. Mike Campbell, who was a very well-known guy around here, and he called my dad, who was pretty involved with coaching down in New Zealand. He said, "Hey, looking for a young guy to come help my boat captain on the boat for the summer," and that was I kind of intercepted that message before it got to the yacht club, and that was it.
I heard that sailing athletes spend as much time raising money or sponsors to get the boat as it is training for the sport. Is that true?
Yeah, certainly at the Olympic level, it requires a huge time commitment. So I think, the equipment's a big part of it, particularly with in the modern era with some pretty high performance, high technology boats. I mean, I'm shocked at what some of the new boats cost. I got some great dinghy sailors down here to my right, and it's certainly to operate at that level, it's getting quite expensive.
Tell us a little bit about some of your accomplishments in sailing.
So I'm probably best known locally for Congressional Cup. I've competed in, I think, 23 Congressional Cups, and also qualifying for it, which in itself is pretty tough to do. So that's match racing, which is one-on-one. It's a very specialized form of sailing. So that's probably what I'm best known for. But I like to take all the experience and pour it back into the yacht club and teach people to sail, and
Do you have a favorite memory as an athlete?
Oh boy, I'm not too sure. I'm still very involved in the sport, and I'm pleased to say I did Transpac this year, and that was a phenomenal set of memories with on an 80-foot boat where I stepped on board. I knew one guy on board before we started the race, and they go, "Okay, Scotty, you're in charge." And honestly, it was just a great experience, great great bunch of guys and everyone working hard. No, there's, I would say two of the best memories I have. One is the Tour de France. There's a sailing Tour de France. So that was 4 weeks racing around France, which was amazing. And one of the other great races I've done is the Van Isle 360, which is around Vancouver Island. And that's 2 weeks.
The Transpac, 2,200 miles, 10 days. How long was it?
Yeah, it depends on how fast the boat is and how hard it's blowing, but it's typically 8 to 12 days.
And how many people in the crew?
So the boat I was on this year, I think we had 14 on the team. Sounds about right. Actually, there might have been a couple of a couple more, but they are big, powerful machines, and everyone has to pull their weight. It's hard going.
Ryan Bailey was up here. Would he have made a good grinder?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is being inducted into the America's Aquatic Capital of America Hall of Fame?
It means a lot, and I was very good friends with Tom Shadden, and I know he'd be pretty proud right now, and I think just having known Tom and the Shaddens, and so many people at that level locally, and the more I've gotten to know about the organization and the people involved and the other honorees, it is absolutely astounding to be associated with their company. Some of my swimming buddies are here right now. We actually swam in the bay this morning, and it was a couple of weeks ago. I was taking a break and just happened to bump into Lynn Cox, who's in the Hall of Fame, and she introduced herself, and she made a bit of a faux pas. She asked me what part of Australia I'm from.
Ooh.
And after she apologized, I said, look, it's okay. Most Canadians make that mistake. And then she went on and said, I've spent a lot of time in New Zealand. I love your country. I was the first woman to ever swim the Cook Strait, which is one of the 7 great swims in the world. And that's when I realized, who am I talking to right now? And I said to Freddie afterwards, I know who I was talking to because I read her bio online last week.
Right.
And just to rub shoulders with people of that caliber on a local level is amazing.
Well, as amazing as she is, you're also in the Hall of Fame. One round of congratulations. We're going to present you with the award. I get to present the award. Step forward here in the light. And we have one other right here. There you go. Congratulations. Thanks very much. Okay, lastly, would all honorees tonight come forward for one group photo, please? All honorees and the presenters, come on up, one big photo. The stage can handle it. And we'll take one picture, and that concludes our evening. Thank you all for joining us. Be safe. Step forward. All honorees.
That's a big deal.
All my medals meant nothing to my daughter and her classmates, but being on LEG, I'm like, oh, wow, that's so cool. And New Zealand, I think John Seaver, 200 butterfly in 1984. I think he was first to win. Stand rinners, everybody, even the presenters. One big group photo. Everybody come forward. Let's put the vertically challenged in the back, front, and vertically enhanced in the back.
I'm also green shields.
Okay, hold up your shoulders like you like. Oh yeah, come forward. Vertically challenged. Get up there.